Hello everyone, I'm back today with another scrapbook layout, and today I'm going to be using the Cricut Disney Mickey and Friends cartridge. I have cut four images from this cartridge. 3 of them I put together, so it'll make one big embellishment, and I'll show you that when I get to it. So I hope you enjoy today's project. So I'm going to be starting with a 12 by 12 piece of black cardstock, and then I have cut down a piece of ivory cardstock to, let's see here, 11.5 by 11.5. Now what I'm going to be doing is drawing a couple of lines in pencil on this sheet so I can lay out some punched shapes that I have. Okay, so now I've drawn a line in pencil that is 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, and also one toward the center of the page. It's 5 inches down from the top, and it just goes the full length. Now I got a new punch for Christmas. It's this punch bunch chevron shape punch that I've been wanting to use, and I haven't had a chance to use it just yet, so I went ahead and pulled it out for this project. And what I did was I punched out these red and black chevron shapes, and I'm going to adhere them. And basically this paper that I used are just scraps that don't work well in my Cricut. I think over time you just sort of realize what types of paper work and don't work. So I save my scraps for punches and other things that I cut by hand, so I can still use them and I don't waste the paper. All I'm going to do is alternate colors from red and black, and I'm going to line them up like so. So I'm going to be going to the left on this bottom one, and then I'm going to be going to the right, and as you can see I'm just using that line that we drew in with pencil to line up the bottom of the shape. I'm not going to make you watch me adhere all of these down, so I'm going to go ahead and start adhering those, and I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, so now I have adhered all of these chevron pieces down, and I just used my ATG to do that. Again, I need to get a smaller runner because using that thing on such small pieces is a job in itself. And then I went in and I erased the pencil line that we had done, and I drew it in really, really lightly, so it didn't take much pressure. It doesn't leave any sort of stain from the eraser behind. That's important if you're going to use pencil on this page, especially because it's such a light background. There are a couple of pieces that I didn't quite get to the tips of, and so I just want to make sure that those are adhered down. Not that it makes a big deal, but just because it's driving me crazy. And then what I've also done is I've snipped the edges of the final black chevron piece from the sides of the page, and now I'm just going to adhere this down. They were too long and they wouldn't fit within that 12 by 12 base, so I just snipped them off, and because they're black and it's on black, I don't think that it makes a big difference because you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. But I did leave the tips on the red here because I thought it looked cute, and it works as almost a guide for placing this paper down. So those don't go over and you can still see them, and I think that looks good. Okay, so next we're going to lay down some photo mats. I have 2 that I've cut. I used some red paper, red cardstock, and before I go any further, I just want to let you know that this ivory paper came from a Paper Studio pack of 25 from Hobby Lobby, and this black cardstock is just the open paper 12 by 12 that they have at Hobby Lobby. I went on a Hobby Lobby run last week, so all of my paper is Hobby Lobby this week. Well, that's not true, because this star paper is actually just some scraps that I had that came in a 8.5 by 11 paper pack, but I want to say that it was from Hobby Lobby. So let's just go with that. So the red is cut at 4.5 by 4.5. The black is 4.25 by 4.25. And the red inside the stars is 4 by 4. And we're going to place this one up in the corner here. And this one's going to stay right in this corner in between the two chevron lines. And since I know I want those to go there and we're not putting anything underneath them, we're just going to lay those down. Okay. And then I just did, as you can see, some faux stitching on the black 4 1/4 cut because I like the way that looks, and I actually used a lot of white pen with this project and a lot of faux stitching, so you're gonna see that throughout this, and it just went well. Okay, this one we'll place about right here. And I'm actually really excited about this page because I've never done a Mickey Mouse page, and I've been wanting to for a really long time. So I cut this Mickey Mouse image out of black cardstock, and I cut it at 8 inches, and then I cut this yellow at 7.5 inches, and then I just laid it on top and I did faux stitching around the black, and that's going to come up in this corner here. I'm not going to put it down just quite yet because I want to make sure that the other image is where I need it to be. So this is the piece that I used 3 images from that Cricut cartridge on. Let me just move this out of the way so you can see what I did here. Sometimes I can't find an image that I want to use as is, so I feel like I have to create what I want. So in the back you can see how I've pieced together, please ignore all the foam dots. I'm trying to use up what I have of these pop dots here. But I've taped together the 3 images, and the 3 images are the vehicle, which was cut at 8 inches, Mickey, which was cut at 6 inches, and Minnie, who was also cut at 6 inches. I wanted to make them look like they were in the car, and so I think it looks really good. I think it looks like it's one piece, but I don't know. It could just be me tooting my own horn. So, but I thought it was real fun. So we're just going to place this here in this corner. And I think we're going to bring, I'm sorry for the camera moving. We're just going to bring these ears up a little bit. And we're going to straighten, we're going to use this line here to line up the car. And it's going to go right there. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down, and I'm going to not adhere the ears because they overlap the photo mats, and I want to be able to stick pictures in the photo mats. So I believe we had it about here. Okay. And then we have Mickey and Minnie cruising along in their car. And I'm just going to take all of these off. I've probably mentioned before how much I do not like doing this. So that's just another reason why I'm trying to use up what I have so I don't have to use these anymore, because I'm starting to use the adhesive foam from Michaels and then just gluing it, which is so much easier. So, okay, so I'm down to the last 3 here. And at least I hope. I don't see any shiny backing, so we're just going to assume that I removed all of them properly. Okay, so we're just going to line this up in the corner here. And I actually had a lot of fun making this cutout. I love Mickey and Minnie, and I don't get to do Mickey very often. But next I cut out the word Disney. And this was cut from the Mickey Mouse cartridge as well. And I cut each letter at 2 inches. So we're going to lay these out. I wish that this was cut as like one word, or at least that it had a shadow, because these letters are so thin. But it looks cute. I mean, I'm glad that I had the option to cut this word using that Disney font, because it's adorable. Okay, so we're going to put Disney here. We're going to center it. Okay, so I've centered that as well as I could, and I have adhered it down with my Zig 2-way. Because the letters are so thin, I would suggest using a glue pen for that, and I think mine just ran out, so I'll have to get a new one. I guess it's back to Hobby Lobby. This title is going to say Disney Vacation, and I've cut the word vacation out of letters from the Hannah Montana Cricut cartridge, and I used the Daddy's Girl font and shadow, and I just cut them out in white and black. And then I did pop these up on some little dimensionals. I just took the smallest ones I had, and then I cut those in half. So as you can see, it's nothing fancy, it works. So we can lower this a little bit if we want to. I hope that's centered. I think it needs to go a little bit to the right, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere those down, and hopefully it'll line up a little bit better. And then we'll put the final touches on the page. So I thought taking the backs off of those bigger squares was a nightmare. These are a nightmare. So I would suggest not doing what I did. And we have one more letter, and it's the V. And we're just going to line it up with the rest of the word. Vacation. Okay. So there's our basic page, and then what I've done is I have some heart punches that I would like to put on the page, and I think I will use some pop dots for those. I have these that I believe will work fine. So I just take my scraps of paper, and when they're really small, I just use my heart-shaped punch, and I make what I can out of the paper before I throw it away. I like to use every last piece of my paper. I don't like to be wasteful at all. I have a little box that I keep next to me here on my desk, and it's just filled with heart shapes. I have some snowflakes and some smaller chevron shapes as well. Okay, so we're going to place a few hearts around the page just as our last bit of embellishment here. So we'll put a few hearts there. We'll put one here. We'll put one here. And then we'll take this last one and maybe just set it right here. Or maybe down here somewhere. It's a yellow, so we want people to be able to see it. So I really like the way that looks. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.